Hi, Nigel. Colour me shocked to discover that you are once again outraged. And as ever, when you're outraged, you're going to hold a press conference. Seemingly, when you're outraged, you always do a little bit of data harvesting as well. Look, people can sign up for your little petition again. The petition that doesn't really exist is just you collecting email addresses for your database. Now, I know you have zero critical thinking skills, so let me try to explain this to you really simply. Local councils were all invited to submit themselves for unitary reform. Or to put it another way, district councils are to merge with county councils, making one large authority. Now, as you can imagine, well, you possibly can't, Nigel, because you an organisation is not good. However, for the rest of us, this is quite a large undertaking. This involves a really big reorganisation. You're merging staff, budgets, IT systems, assets, contractors, political boundaries, services, statutory responsibilities. This is not an easy thing to do. However, the outcome is a simplified local government. It saves money, allows for greater accountability, and matches boundaries better with regional planning. Now, I understand with your populist spin, you want to make it about the Labour government denying you a vote. But here's the thing, Nigel, as much as you try to frame it as Labour denying you democracy in Essex where you believe you'll win, the reality is that Essex County Council submitted itself for this change. And from the outset, they have always known that there will not be local elections there until 2027 or 2028. But this is when it all gets a little bit more confusing, Nigel, because that's not enough. In addition to that, Essex, the county council, said that they wanted to be considered for devolution. And in July this year, they got accepted for that. This would give the region more political and financial power. So it makes sense that Essex were really excited about the deal. So in the 4 areas where you're claiming there is no democracy and Keir Starmer and the government are dictators, we have unitary reform taking place, plus devolution, and the council opted into both. Now for me, Nigel, this is where it all gets a little bit bonkers. Because on the unitary reform, it clearly states that consultation happens throughout 2026, elections to shadow authorities take place in 2027, and the new unitaries go live in April 2028. So riddle me this, Nigel. How the hell can you run a mayoral election next year when nobody knows what the boundaries are until 2027? So until the 2026 consultation takes place, you don't know which councils are merging, what their boundaries are going to be, what their governance will look like, and how many representatives each one will have. So clearly, the devolution plans to get a mayor in place can't happen until that 2026 consultation has happened. I don't think it's dictators cancel elections. I think it's dicks don't understand how democracy works. Which I know is a little bit of a tricky topic for you because you were never elected as the leader of reform. You picked up the phone to Deputy Dick and said you wanted to take it back. But look, don't waste the press conference, being as you've already called it. Why don't you use it to finally give an apology to the grooming gang survivors who you lied about in one of your earlier press conferences? Because it's been 36 days now since they demanded an apology from you. And I'm sure you're going to want to put the record straight. Or you could reassure members of your cult, with an L, that you're not planning to do a deal with the Tories in order to ensure that the right wing get into government at the next general election. I know you've already posted saying it's a ludicrous idea, why would you do such a thing? And in essence, I would agree, because one by one the Tories are coming over to reform. You are fundamentally Tories 2.0. And according to the news outlet that you deem to be reliable, and according to the only news channel that you deem to be reliable, you're not talking about a merger at all. You're talking about a reverse takeover. So basically what I said, one by one they all come to reform. They're now called reformers, but they're actually Tories 2.0. Or you could use the press conference to apologise about this lie that you started to spread yesterday as well. To be fair, it might not have been a lie in your mind. As I keep saying, you lack critical thinking skills. Your comprehension is very poor. You're never over the detail. So maybe it was just poor comprehension skills that led you to represent this report the way that you did. I mean, knowing you like I do, Nigel, of course you had to speak about the area with the largest number of minority ethnic pupils. You see, your framing implies that they can't speak English, whereas the data says that 27% of the children do not speak English as their first language at home. But the data also says that it's only 6% of the children are new to English as a language. Whereas again, your post implies that a third of them can't speak English at all, which is categorically untrue. I mean, considering that your children have got a German mum, I would have thought that at home they would have spoken German as much as they spoke English. Like, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to say that our culture's being eroded away. But I would have thought your children are every bit as proud to be English as you are, even though they probably speak German to their mum and speak German at home. To be fair, I'm not very good at languages, so I'm always impressed when anybody is multilingual, let alone a child. So surely the stat is something to be celebrated, not condemned. Now, given that Deputy Dick did the media rounds yesterday, screaming about fake news, I mean, primarily he was focused on the fact that 20 people have claimed that you were an Adolf Hitler fanboy when you were at Dulwich College. I have to say, I was a little bit confused by Deputy Dick's argument, because his argument was basically none of these stories have been corroborated. But they have, by 20 people. Seemingly the only person that can't remember what was said all that time ago was you. But that's often the case with bullies. They don't actually understand how their words can have a lasting impact on people. To be fair, I think Deputy Dick suffers a little bit from Stockholm syndrome with you. Like, he has to hold on to your coattails because he's not charismatic enough to lead the party. However, it's also true that you seem to sidestep him whenever somebody gives you more money, for example. Indicative that you're still a bit of a bully. But anyway, I digress. You see, going back to the point in question, I think it would be easier to defend you had it not been for the fact that even a few years ago, you were spouting anti-Semitic statements over in the US. In fact, the Anti-Defamation League called you up about your comments, who said that you were fueling white supremacists and amplifying conspiracy theories around evil controlling Jews. Which leads me to suspect, you see, that there really is a story here, in spite of Deputy Dick trying to make out that everybody's trying to silence you because you're suddenly so powerful. Which I understand is the narrative that you're trying to put across as well, and you're being helped by a right-wing media. I mean, maybe people wouldn't be so interested if you acted quicker to actually reprimand those councillors of yours that clearly are unvetted who are spouting white supremacist stuff today. Anyway, let's end on some good news. Congratulations on your £9 million donation from Christopher Harborne. I mean, I think it says a lot about Christopher that he supports both you and Boris Johnson. I mean, imagine thinking Boris was so good you want to give him £1 million of your own money. Oh. Well, maybe it's just that he understands that you have to speculate to accumulate. And I mean, who cares that previously he's tried to donate some money under false pretences? Just like there are a few questions around the fact that he goes by two names, doesn't he? He's got a Thai name and a UK name. Anyway, I'll let you go. So don't forget, dictators cancel elections and dicks don't understand why things are so difficult. All right, good chat, as you were.